Hi, everybody. We're back today with another episode of Howie's Hometown Heroes, where we feature business owners, entrepreneurs, and community members who are doing extraordinary, amazing things right there in their own community, wherever that happens to be. Today, we're actually in 2 places at the same time. Actually, maybe 3 places at the same time, which is always kind of fun. I'm here with my good friend, Nicole Langlois, who is in New Paltz, New York, not too far from where I am. And we're with Julie Robbins, who is in Charleston, South Carolina. How's the weather in South Carolina? It sucks up here. I'm telling you.
Well, I'm hesitant to say, but it's really gorgeous.
Yeah, I figured as much.
It's sunny 70s. I mean, you asked.
There you go. I know.
Yeah.
We
had snow this morning, Julie.
Yeah.
You can keep it.
Well, it's melted now, so that's the good news for sure. So let me tell you about these women. They're pretty awesome, actually. So now, in fact, we only bring awesome people onto the show in the first place. So there you go, right? So a little bit about Nicole. So she joined the Navy after high school. Never mind that college stuff. She was jumping right into ships and all kinds of crazy things there. And she got a little bit, so what's it called? Maybe switch it up a little bit. She thought it was going to be music and turned to be cryptocology. What?
Cryptology.
Cryptology. It's easy for me to say, right? Traveled the world, did all kinds of stuff, knows all kinds of secrets. So, if you get her some extra drinks, maybe she'll spill the beans. I don't know. But remember,
she won't.
She won't. Anyway, so some fun things about Nicole. She homeschooled her kids. That is an awesome thing. I know a lot of people who do that. I could never do that. It is just, I'm busy enough. I'm glad my kids are grown and went through that. But to try to have a job and a family and do all that and homeschooling kids, that's beyond my skill set for sure. Or patience, more likely. And really, she traveled around the country with her kids and husband for 5 years, all over the place in an RV. What a crazy thing to do. I think it's great that you could do that. I mean, that's the fun thing about the show, I think, is that we see people from all kinds of backgrounds doing all kinds of things that are really fun to talk about. So you never know who you're going to talk to or what you're going to learn from people out there. So now, Nicole and Julie are together. They do business coaching now. Nicole started as a health coach, taking care of her parents when they were ill a while ago. So that sort of got her into that coaching world. So we're going to find out a lot more about her. Nicole, what's a fun fact about you?
Oh, a fun fact. There's so many. Julie could probably tell you more than I could. I love to sculpt and I love to play the clarinet. A lot of people think that's kind of, I would say that's fun.
That's pretty fun. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That goes back to your music thing from high school.
Yeah.
Very good. So Julie is in Charleston, South Carolina, and Julie and Nicole work together at Epic One Coaching. That's their business coaching business together. But I think here's a really interesting thing about Julie. She started working in her family's Italian restaurant. She was 14. So what would a 14-year-old do in a restaurant? Maybe hostess, maybe serving, helping out that sort of stuff? No, she was doing bookkeeping, hiring people, firing people. She really kicking butt all over the place and made that place really a really successful restaurant. That was pretty good. And that's when she got into business. Get that kind of business head. Went to college and got all kinds of degrees related to business. It's awesome. And now she's been a business coach for 17 years. That's a lot of time. And I bet you've seen a lot of businesses and have a lot of successful, fun stories to go with it.
Absolutely.
So tell us, what's a fun fact about you, Julie?
Oh, fun fact about me. I love horsepower.
Horsepower.
Yeah, so, whether it's an actual horse, a motorcycle, an ATV, a boat, I just love things that go fast.
Horses or engines? I like that's where I'm not sure what physicist or inventor came up with the term horsepower related to engines. Yeah. I don't know.
And I do love classic cars also. So that's
all right. Very
ties
nice.
in.
Well, we got a whole bunch of things going on there. How do you have time for doing coaching? I don't know.
Oh my gosh. Well, we make the time because we both love it so much. And we've actually, and I'm sure we'll get into this at some point, but we really shifted our whole focus over the last year just so that we could have more time to coach. So
There you go. So you kind of coached yourself into making your coaching business successful.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
We
you do what you
decided
preach.
we needed to walk the talk.
There you go. Exactly right. Exactly right. So tell me, let's kind of jump in a little bit. So Nicole, how did you started as a health coach? Julie, how did you start in the coaching world?
Actually, being in business from such a young age, and of course, my parents were also friends with a lot of business owners. So
Mhm.
I saw firsthand like their successes and struggles, and it just always fascinated me. Years later, I owned a travel agency. And what I saw is so many people traveling to escape their lives instead of traveling for fun and adventure. And I decided that I wanted to help people enjoy their life every day, not just 2 weeks out of the year. So that's when I made the
Mm.
shift.
Oh, that's a real kind of a epiphany moment there. You say, "Ooh,
Yes, for
that's
sure.
really good,
Yeah.
really good." Well, very cool, very cool. So now maybe move fast forward a little bit. How did the two of you get together?
Well,
Well,
well, you go ahead.
okay. So there was like a Facebook, not ad, but a post, someone saying they were looking for someone to share an office with. And I was like, I feel like I met that person. I met her once at a luncheon or something. And, I reached out to Julie and said, I'm also looking for an office. I was working at home, but, coaching, meeting at the library or at a cafe, and didn't want to really bring people into the home, but I didn't want my own office and I didn't want to spend a ton of overhead. So we connected and she was like, I saw this office in town and I also see I'm coaching part-time and want to share. I don't need my own space. So we went and we met each other at this building where we walked into neon green, popsicle orange,
Ooh.
fluorescent lighting, gray carpet. And we were just like, this is just horrible. We'll take it.
Let's take it.
We'll take it.
We'll take it. So
And
we
then,
didn't know each other. We started sharing an office space, and within like 5 minutes, we were best friends and planning to conquer the world. But yeah, that's how we met.
and was your next trip to Home Depot to get new paint and carpet?
Yeah.
What would you do?
A
Yep.
lot of trips to IKEA.
Yes.
IKEA. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
So now, each of you came together, got to know each other in 5 minutes. That's awesome. What do you think that caused that? I mean, are you both on the same page? Are you kind of a little bit different? Like opposites attract? How did that kind of come about?
I think it's all of those things. I mean, we definitely shared a lot of values and a love of community. I would say, both of our fathers were real role models and pillars in the community. And so we both lived our life vicariously through, not vicariously, but because of them and because of their values. And we didn't even know this actually when we met, but our fathers actually knew each other.
Oh,
And we found that out like a couple of years into being business partners. But yeah, and then we just both had a passion for helping people and wanting to see people just be successful and enjoy life. So I think it was from those
cool.
shared values that we kind of moved forward.
Kind of move forward together. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Very good.
But we're definitely very different people. So, which is one of the reasons we coach together and do tandem coaching, is because we both bring such a different background and experiences to the coaching. So
actually, I was gonna actually ask that. So when you get coaching clients, you both work with the same client at the same time or at different times?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Not always, but a good
yeah.
majority of the time.
Okay. No, that's really good. So now, which was going to lead me to what I was going to ask next is what qualities or values or coaching abilities do each of you bring to the table to help the clients that you have?
Well, Julie is a master at asking the questions that dig deep, that really get into the heart of what's going on. She can see things that nobody else can see. So she's just amazing at being able to bring out hidden fears or passions, or so I would say that's one of Julie's biggest superpowers. We like to call them superpowers.
Of course.
Yeah. And just her background and just her overall business knowledge is always impressive. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, awesome. And so,
and I would say for Nicole, oh, sorry.
I was going to say, so Julie, tell me about Nicole.
I mean, Nicole is amazing. I mean, she just brings so much life and energy to every session. She's really good at like holding people accountable, which is so important. I mean, so many business owners have lots of ideas and things they want to do, but if you don't have that accountability and structure, it doesn't go anywhere. And she's really good at holding accountability, keeping the structure, but also infusing like this energy that is contagious. I mean, I always call her the Energizer Bunny because she's always got so much energy. And it just comes through, and it keeps, whoever we're working with, it keeps them engaged and excited about what we're doing. So
awesome.
And she's also very intuitive. I know she'll deny this, but extremely intuitive. And she knows what's needed in every moment. It's really cool.
Like what? Do you have an example of something like that?
Like, so even if we're on with a client, and even if we're on Zoom, right, not even in person, she'll pick up on something that maybe the person's energy is, they're starting to get anxious about something, or they're not allowing their true voice to come out. And she'll be like, okay, let's take a moment and stop. And she'll actually guide them through an exercise or through a meditation and help whatever is stuck in them come out. And it just shifts everything. And she just does it on the fly. No planning ahead. It's amazing to me.
Very good. Is that some of that like level 5 listening that I hear about sometimes? Really,
and it's interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting because we do that in very different ways, though, because Julie's also incredibly intuitive and picks up on things, and she can see things in such a broad picture and be able to connect, how it all comes together and kind of reflect it back to the person in a way they'll go, holy crap, how are you in my head?
Oh, now I'm afraid to talk to you now because I don't know what you're going to talk about. So let me ask you this part. So that's great that the two of you are kind of on the same page. Either you hear frequently, and it happened to me actually in another business, where partnerships seem to be good on the surface, or at least initially, but then all hell breaks loose. So how do you kind of overcome that, or maybe not? I mean, I haven't had that issue.
Well, that was another one of Julie's superpowers. When we first met, I'm just like this, let's just get together and do this amazing thing. And, very excited and a little bit of rose-colored glasses. And Julie's like, all right, hold on. I've been in partnerships. We're going to sit down and we're going to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly. And now I don't know if we're allowed to swear, so I won't say this the last part, but the effing fabulous is what we say. And we sat down, and from day one, she was like, okay, this is what you have to know about me. When I get quiet and start to do this is what's happening. And we just had this really long heart to heart. And so from day one, we started with a very, very raw communication of, who we were and all of it. And then it just kind of matured and grew from there.
Even through that, you're still together.
Yeah,
we have
because of that.
Yeah.
Because of that. Yeah.
We've
been through so much together in the last 10 years. And I think one of the things I'm the most proud of is our partnership, because I've seen so many partnerships fail.
Sure.
And so many people go into them with the wrong ideas, not good communication. And I think the one thing that we've always stuck to is like raw communication, even when it's really hard and when we disagree. Like we can disagree and argue about something, but then at the end of the day, it's like, we solve it and we figure it out. Like,
So it's
so
kind of your,
it's amazing. It's pretty rare.
yeah, I'm telling you, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, there are, well, not that we joke about anything like this at all, but 50% of marriages break up, right? Which is a
Mhm.
crazy number, right? And business partnerships, I'm sure it's even higher than that, right? So
I'm sure, yeah.
But somehow,
Yeah.
so you guys are pretty a rarity then in the, you're not married yet though, right? So we're not up to that yet.
But I mean, I think a partnership like this is possible for a lot of people if they do the same things that we've done, which is just be so honest with each other
Right.
at all times and help each other grow and help each other through the difficult times. And yeah, it's been amazing.
Do you disagree about how to handle a particular client or how to coach a particular client?
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay. How does that get resolved so the client doesn't feel like, like, where do I stand now?
Well, it's
Yeah.
never like
Oh, in front of the
client.
Okay.
No,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And honestly, we agree on a lot of approaches with the client. It's more the behind the scenes things that we disagree on. It's not so much when we're coaching
Okay.
or
All right.
about a
Right.
client or how to handle a client, that we're always on the same page. But it might just be like, I don't know, what's the latest thing I'm making a decision on whether to start A or B first. And I'll say, well, I think it's A, and Joel, I think it's B, and we'll hear each other out. And
Yeah.
it's taken me a couple of years to get some really tough love from Julie too. I'm hot-headed, I'm very reactive, and I'll be like, well, and but then, at the end of the day, we're getting a drink and best friends. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And I think it's because we talk, like, I think at this point we recognize that when we disagree on something, it's an opportunity for us to grow. Because if we just hear each other out, I get to hear her point of view and why she thinks that, and same for me. And it usually ends up expanding our coaching practice or, enriching whatever it is we were talking about, because now we can use both of our perspectives.
Mm.
And also there's been a ton of personal growth. Julie is my, I don't know, business partner, best friend, but mentor, I think we're mentors to each other.
Totally.
But I've learned a lot about how to, resolve conflict and how to compromise. And, and like she said, we learn so much from that, including we have a process on if we don't agree on something, now we have a step-by-step, process on how we handle it, or a rubric on how we, what we go to make a decision. Again, it's the walking the talk, so
Right.
We've gotten pretty good at that too.
That's pretty good. It's pretty good. Yeah, I was actually going to ask, you answered the question already. Again, like, what challenges have you had and how do you overcome that? And there you go. You just talk it out, and you have a written plan of here's what we're disagreeing.
I mean, we have
paint color we're going to use,
Yeah, we have a partnership agreement. We have a process for pretty much everything that we do. And like she said, we have rubrics, which are basically they're questions we ask each other, or checklists that we go down just to make sure we haven't missed anything, or missed an opportunity to talk about something. So
cool. What kinds of challenges have your clients come to you with? That, I mean, you've seen, I don't know how many, God knows how many clients in the last 10 years or so. What is there? Do they? I'm going to want to how to say this. Do they fall into like several different categories, or are they 100 different problems? How does that work out?
Both. Everyone's unique, but there are some very common things, and they might come from different places or present differently. But I think one of the number one things is, because we work with mostly entrepreneurs or solopreneurs, is being alone. And that means lack of confidence and not having someone to brainstorm with or problem solve with, second guessing what they're doing, not having control over their business, or so that lack of confidence a lot of times comes from just not having support. Yeah. And then there are several others of, just, well, Julie, I'll let you talk about that.
Well, no, I agree. I think at the root of most problems is a confidence issue, and it's for different reasons, right? I mean, Nicole and I joke around all the time. We're both big Star Trek fans. I don't know if you're a Star Trek fan, but oftentimes a person goes into business because they're passionate about something, right? They may be a really good baker, or they're a wonderful therapist, or whatever it is. But the result of going into business is that you have to run a business, right? And so they may be great at what they do, but they don't necessarily know how to run a business. So we always joke around. It's like, damn it, Jim, I'm a doctor, not an entrepreneur, right? It's like,
well, let me
and
show
they're
you
not
this.
supposed to.
Oh, that's not what I was going to show you. Wait a minute. Where did you? Oh, here it is. There you go. Oops.
Oh, they're awesome.
Oh, yep. There you go.
Yeah.
So I think, that's the root of a lot of the confidence issues, is that people just don't know how to do that stuff, and they were never taught. Yep. So it's, first of all, getting them comfortable with where they're at, and hope that, okay, we have a system, we can help you figure out how to do this. So I think that's at the root of it. And a lot of times I think business owners are trying to be something they're not. There's a lot of supposed tos, because when you go into business, there's all these books and videos and all these things out there telling you how to be the best business person. But the reality is you have to know who you are first and foremost, how you function, what makes you tick, where your obstacles and challenges are, and own that, so that you can own your business as who you are. So I think that's really what it boils down to.
Yeah, that's definitely great advice. One of the things we talk about in our world a little bit is, people get, just like you said, people get into a business because of the thing the business does, whether it's cooking or construction, or, whatever the thing is, but there's like 20 other skills you need to do it all, right? And nobody can do it all. Somebody can do it.
Yeah.
So that's good that you have that. You are that sounding board and can give them guidance based on all your experiences. Results are pretty. Do you have a couple of success stories of people you've helped out? Or did you? Maybe two ways: people you've helped to succeed, and people who you talked out of. Man, this isn't for you. Something like that.
Yes, and yes.
Many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because sometimes going into business or growing your business is not the answer, right?
Right.
And sometimes maybe people went into business for the wrong reasons, and so that's a reason to get out of that and maybe shift it into something else. But
so, without
we
naming names or kind of business, give me a sense of some specifics so people have an understanding of what frame we're talking about.
Well, one in particular that comes to mind. So before, I guess in the interim, right, Julie and I met and we started coaching, but along the way for almost 10 years, we also owned a co-working business.
Right. All right.
So we had, a physical space, and we had a member come to us that was in a certain profession. And she's like, I'm work for a company, but I'd like to go out on my own. And so she came before it was even a thought. And fast forward, we did a coaching session with her. She joined one of our mastermind groups. And for over, I guess, 6 years, we would coach her in different capacities. And now she owns her own company, has 12 employees that work for her.
Wow.
She's expanded, 5 times over. And just the other day, she said something about how, like the business map that they use and the structure that they use that we help them with is like the backbone of their business. So that was just one of those, proud mama moments.
Exactly.
And I think the best success part of that too is just seeing how that person runs their business. Like, I mean, with such integrity and such care for her clients and her staff. And it's really amazing to see.
A lot of relationships kind of come about, and I can imagine in the coaching world too, is where before there was Zoom, you were doing coaching before Zoom. So now how did that work? How did that kind of work out? Or when you had to go to Zoom, how did that work out? And now I don't know if you're in person at all anymore, but how did the mechanics and the technology help or hurt you for you?
Mhm. Wow. So we're doing both. We still do have some in-person clients, and Julie and I get together in person a couple times a year for our meetings, and we also offer during certain times, workshops or things like that. So it's been a up and down. In some ways it's been challenging. But we had to pivot really quickly. And in some ways it's been great because now we can coach from anywhere. We can coach, people all over the country, the world. And it's made that relationship with a coaching client virtually a lot more, I guess, intimate with, the new technology and everything that came out of COVID. And so sometimes it's even more productive to do it virtually.
Yeah.
And I have coached people in other countries too. And it's cool because you learn the similarities, but also the differences. Like, depending on where I've, coached people in Kuwait and Bulgaria and Germany, and like their view of business and also sometimes what they're allowed to do and not allowed to do is really fascinating. So it does give us a different perspective on business in this country. And yeah.
Well, that's pretty interesting. So I guess what I almost thought you were going to say is business is business, and people are the same everywhere, but not necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, mostly that's true, but also depending on the country and what the restrictions are, or what the cultural norms are,
Yeah.
or what's accepted can be different. So
Are there any things I also want to ask now over this 10 years or so that you've been doing this together and separately before that? How do you keep up with, are there any trends or new things happening in the coaching world that you keep up with, or is it always been the same? You're just talking to people, helping them out. I don't want to diminish what you're doing, but
I think the answer is yes to both of those. I mean, yes, of course, we're always looking at, what the trends are, the latest research. Often it's things that we've already, read or talked about together. But yes, I mean, for the most part, things don't change too much. It's just what's at the top of the pile this year, right?
Okay.
Like what are we focusing on this year? Whether it's self-care, that's a big one right now. Especially with so many people who are working remotely and don't have the same social life that they had necessarily before, and how that affects people. So things like that. Right now, it's definitely more a focus on the psychology of things. So, right, when you say that, Nicole?
Yeah, and I think something I've noticed too is that what is becoming more recognized now, which wasn't a couple of years ago, is the importance of, I hate to say work-life balance, but that's really what it is, and the value of having not just a high quality or successful business and career, but personal life, and and that is starting to be recognized as one of our mentors or people that we follow and look up to, Gino Wickman, who created Traction. He has this whole new program now that's really just based on self-care and honoring who you are as a person, and not just the business side of things. So it's nice to see. Julie and I have been practicing that from day one, but to see it now becoming more mainstream is pretty cool.
You are
and it's interesting because but it's interesting because I feel like people are having to let go of or retrain themselves not to be so conditioned, right? Because now also the beauty of Zoom and being able to work remotely is you can really create the work life that you want. But we have been so conditioned over time to think of work in a certain way that people, even though the dream is to like work the way I want to work. If I want to be in India running a class and then the following week I'm in southern France or whatever, right? I mean, we can do that now, but there's like these blocks that we have telling us that, oh, I can't do that. Like, can I really do that? Like, it's interesting to see people having to change that way of thinking. So
I want to say it's not, can I do this? Or it's more, how can I do this? Kind of stuff.
right.
Right.
How can I overcome my own conditioning to do this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an interesting way to put it. Now, where do you see your business going in the next couple of years? People talk about in any kind of business, scaling it, having 5 Italian restaurants, how do you see yourself doing those kind of things?
I think we do see scaling in some ways. I mean, we're choosing how we want to work, which is going to be different from others. We're not looking to take over the coaching world. We're looking to work with the type of entrepreneurs and solopreneurs who we think are in alignment with how we coach. Nicole, you want to say more about
yeah,
that?
I mean, I think where we do want to grow, I'm not going to say scale, but we've made a conscious decision to focus on business mapping right now for the first maybe couple of years. But then we want to, really talk about our partnership and help other partnerships, because that's something, we're really passionate about, and that we've already been asked to speak on partnerships and for different things. And so I think expanding in that way, and writing and eventually speaking and stuff. So yeah, we'll see what
we'll see.
the future brings.
And now you can go back to the RV now if you want, right?
Yeah, we both love to travel, so there's definitely travel included in whatever we're doing.
Terrific. So tell me, before, I want to finish up in a second, but tell me, you mentioned business mapping. What is that?
You want me to go? Okay. So it's basically a business plan that actually works. It's not something that you put together and stuff in in your desk and you never look at again. We like to call it like a living, breathing document. It's something that we look at every single week. And so, we plan out 10 years ahead, and then we keep bringing it back so that every day you're doing something that is, we say find your due north, right? It's a compass to know where you're going. Otherwise you're just spinning in circles.
Yes, exactly.
So it's identifying a very, very clear vision of where you want to go and how you want to get there. We look at identifying the pitfalls and the obstacles that are going to come in your way, and how do you solve that before it even happens. And everyone's map is a little different. I might have a lot of mountains and Julie might have a lot of lakes and deserts, but the way we get there is the same. We've spent the past year really perfecting our formula, so to speak. And yeah, it's
So
and I think
you go ahead.
I think an important piece to that too is, it's one thing to put down what your values are for your business and your vision for your business. But what we often see is people go into business and they don't lay a foundation and they don't create structures and systems for their business. And that is what ultimately gets them either too overwhelmed or just, the business can't function because they haven't set that up. And so in addition to what Nicole was talking about, we've very much helped them with creating that foundation and that structure so that they're working from a solid place. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, that's really good. And I guess it's from your experience working together and the way you ask questions, right, and dig deep into somebody's thought process, or get them to think differently than they have before, then that creates that mapping and their values, and they have an understanding that they didn't have before. So that's pretty good. So, all right. So very cool. So let me think. So, you've been at this for a long time, right? Done a lot of traveling, got to know each other, and now you're in a pretty successful place, moving forward in a couple different areas that I'm sure you got your map where you're going.
Yeah.
We
How
do.
much do you think of how you got to here today is from just hard work, doing whatever the things to do, or maybe just a little bit of luck?
It's been a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how I would define luck necessarily. I mean, to me, luck is we know who we are, we know what we want, and we do walk our talk and kind of align ourselves with the things that matter to us. So in a way, like if something presents itself and it feels lucky, it's kind of because we set the stage for it. Do you know what I mean? So and also it's been a lot of hard work. I mean, running a business is hard work.
For sure.
There's no way to get around that.
For sure. And
But it's also a lot of fun. I'm just going to throw that in
Yes,
there.
you gotta have fun. Nicole and I say, if we're not having fun, we're doing something wrong.
there you
So,
go. Exactly. We say that also. So some of the things that I talk about, but when and this happens to me actually, when the student's ready, the teacher appears. And whether
yes.
that's the foundation or a little luck or it was there all the time, you just didn't really see it at
Yeah.
first. So
Yes.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
very good. Very good. So great to have you here today, Nicole and Julie. I'm hoping we can chat a little bit in the future. So everybody who's out there, if you know some women who are at least as awesome as Julie and Nicole, contact me. We'll get them on the show and be able to tell their story. So just remember that whether it's your business or your community organization or even your family, remember it's money that make those gears keep turning. Make sure your money is working the most optimal way possible. Thanks, Julie. Thanks, Nicole.
Thanks,
Thanks
Howie.
for
This is
having
great.
us.